All right. Hey, how you doing? Do you love Conan the Barbarian? Well, let me say it a bit like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Barbarian. How do you like my biceps? My biceps. Maybe I need to do some more exercise so I can build more muscle. Yeah, I'm keen. But anyway, enough of trying to copy Arnold Schwarzenegger. But like, I copy Arnold Schwarzenegger not necessarily to make fun of him, but he it pumps me up. You know what I mean? Like a bit like how he says you get the pump. You know the pump. Yeah, like it's inspiring. You know what I mean? But I love Conan the Barbarian and that idea of sword and sorcery. It just gives me the like it gives me the chills, like the goosebumps. You know what I mean? I get this excitement happening because I love I love the mixture of swords and using that. You've got that you've got that courage and that fearlessness, right? And the power and the fighting and all that stuff that with the sword, that sort of stuff entails. And then you're against sorcery and like thinking, oh, how the heck is he going to beat this guy like using magic? And then somehow, maybe little by little, with a bit of magic on his side, but also mainly his sword, he overcomes the guy who seems invincible because of his magic. Yeah, I just like that aspect of it. Yeah, the sword and sorcery. But yeah, let's get to it. I've been wanting to get into the fiction or the fantasy of like not just from the movie because of course there's only so many movies you can watch, but the stories there's I'm not going to say there's an unlimited supply, but there's a lot more you can delve into. You know what I mean? That if you just rely on movies, you're gonna be sort of all right. I've watched all the movies. Now what? But okay, I've watched Conan the Barbarian from I think is it 1982, and Conan the Destroyer. That was from the early 80s as well, was it? But that was a cool follow up. I thought Conan the Destroyer with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Um, and maybe just as a notable mention or something is Red Sonja, another Arnold Schwarzenegger film that he was a co-star in the film with Sonja, Bridget Nielsen, and and that was a cool film I thought as well. That gave you that vibe a little bit of the barbarians and all that. But anyway, what got me like I was keen to start reading Robert E. Howard's Conan books. This is the first collection. Like it collects the stories in the like all the stories that Robert E. Howard has written. Um, and he's the author. He's written heaps of short stories, and they're sort of collected in this volume, and then volume two and volume three. So there's three volumes in this series, this particular series. Like it looks like a similar cover and all that. This is called The Coming of Conan the Cimmerian, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And the original, so it says the original adventures of the greatest sword and sorcery hero of all time. But okay, yeah, the greatest, but there's other sword and sorcery films and stuff and stories, of course. But yeah, like when you think about it, I think that kind of got the ball rolling with other sword and sorcery authors and films and stuff. But let's especially the Conan the Barbarian film, I think that helped kick off um, a lot of films that tried to follow in that similar vein as Conan the Barbarian, but on a lower budget or in from an independent film company version. You know what I mean? So more recently, because I've been reading Books of Blood by Clive Barker. I'll just grab that here. So I'm up to volumes four to six. So So that was what I've been into more recently. These horror stories, and they're pretty sick. Um, as in awesome and sick, at the same time. Um, but I was meaning to get into sword and sorcery books because I love that as well. And I wanted to start with Conan the Barbarian by Robert E. Howard. But I was actually what made me finally pull the trigger on that, like the trigger for me to buy this book of the coming of Conan the Cimmerian. What triggered me to buy it was I was on my way to a friend's wedding, Daniel and Lisa, and I was actually buying. I wanted to have a look at the CDs in the rock and roll shop called Utopia Records in Sydney, the heavy metal rock and roll. Here's a bag from the shop, by the way. It's keeping music evil it's a pretty cool slogan. Utopia Records, keeping music evil. Wow. But anyway, that day, like I felt a bit rushed because I was catching the bus out there to my friend's wedding from the city, and I made sure I caught an earlier train, so I had a bit of time before the wedding to go into Utopia to look at some CDs. But then when I was about to get to the bus, I actually realized, whoa, I have an extra 10 minutes here. I'm not late after all. Um, and I saw King's Comics, the comic book shop in Town Hall area of Sydney. And I was walking around just chilling, and and then I saw some Conan comics, and I said to one of the ladies, or actually, just as an anecdote, I think because it was a lady, right? But she was growing a beard and probably looking a bit manly. I would say probably yeah. That would yeah. I would just safely assume. But anyway, I saw some Conan the Barbarian, and I flicked through one of the. It wasn't this one, but immediately, but I flicked through one of the copies, and it said number 30 they were up to, and it was only a recent one from 2025 or something, 2026. And then I said, oh, this is a new one, but I thought, oh, whatever, it's not as original as Robert E. Howard's 1930s stories, but yeah, yeah, it's Conan, so whatever. And then I said to her, so can I start at maybe number one? I think that's probably a good idea. Do you think? And she says, yeah. And then she said they collect in little volumes. Like this is volume one, and it collects issues 1 to 4, number 1 to number 4. And I thought, okay, I'll start with that. And it's pretty awesome. Like the drawings are amazing. But and you get that. Wait, I'll start at the front. Um, you get that vibe, like it gives you a bit of that sword and sorcery vibe. You feel like the classic comic book kind of vibe. It sort of feels like you're reading a 70s or 80s comic kind of feeling. Um, but like with comics, it's cool and all seeing the pictures and stuff, but I felt like they're a lot better value for money buying a story like a novel, because there's a lot more depth to it to read. It almost feels like it's taking the imagination out of it by reading a comic sometimes. Like some comics are cool. It's a nice avenue to explore comics, but I don't think I want to. Like I actually bought the next one, Volume 2, which collects issues 5 to 8. But then I thought, nah, I'm not going to buy the next volume for now. I just want to get into the stories. The original stories, and not fucking around. You know what I mean? Not fucking around too much. So I've you know, but actually I did when I ordered that actually from Amazon Amazon store. I also bought the omnibus of Conan the Barbarian. Um, this is the original comics from 1970, and it ranges to I think 1973. But yeah, they're cool. It's a nice novelty to explore. But I don't think I want to you know get the next volume in it. Like I'll finish it, but it's not really. I mean, it's cool and all, but it it's a nice novelty, right? To get involved, but it's not written by the original, like the original guy, Robert E. Howard. That's kind of what I want, and so I found it a lot more enriching to read the stories, right? So I went ahead and bought volume two rather, and number three in this series to complete the series of all the Conan stories that Robert E. Howard wrote in his short career of 12 years, because he did away with himself, unfortunately. So yeah, those three avenues of Conan stories, those comics. So I didn't hold this one up, but I did. Volume two, those comics, and these comics. I thought, let's try it. Like, let's try it. But I don't think I'll become an avid Conan comic reader, and collect the next and next, in that manner. I feel more avid as a reader, and with some illustrations, like there are some illustrations in here to to give you a sense of what's going on, and they're amazing illustrations, Um, like there's illustrations, but yeah, like as a reader, the the imagination and the scene that's being unveiled comes from reading what the author's writing. Like he's explaining it to you, you know. But there's only so much they can write, of course, in a comic. There's less words, more pictures, right? Um, so I almost don't. I like. Yeah, I want to imagine it. You know what I mean? Sometimes I want to be able to imagine it myself. That's the part I like. So that's why I like to read. Yeah. Um, Comics, maybe I'm not going to say it's lazy, but for some people who can't be bothered like reading so much and they just want to look at pictures as well, that can be fun too. Can be a nice change from reading novels. But yeah, to me, I feel like yeah, I'm not really going to be a comic book collector as much because they are more expensive than novels. For the like, you want to read a whole novel, and the amount of time it takes you to read the novel, you probably spent $30 compared to at least $100 on comics. You know what I mean? Because they've got to pay the guys um, who are drawing the comic, and there's a bigger team involved, to my knowledge. Like, of course, there's editors and all that with books, but there's more people involved. Like the artists and the writers and all that. Like you've got a bigger team, yeah. So and it's printing usually in color as opposed to in black and white. So it's a more expensive book, and maybe if you're buying a hardcover, and especially with the omnibus. Yeah, they call it omnibus. So yeah, um, but I like the different ways to explore Conan the Barbarian. You can explore him through the movies. You can explore him through the new comics, the new Titan comics. Yeah, you can explore him through there, or you can explore him. So yeah, that's Titan comics. So the movies, the Titan comics. Um, Titan being the company who wrote these comics, these new comics, you can explore him through the original Marvel comic of Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, like that's another way. Um, but yeah, you can explore him. There's many authors apparently of Conan books, but Conan novels, which might be cool to explore too. But I wanted to go straight to the source, straight to the heart of it, and that's Robert E. Howard. I think. Um, yeah, I didn't want to like muck around and beat around the bush. I just wanted to go straight to the the source, of who Conan is, from the guy who wrote it, the original guy. So yes, that's why I went ahead and invested more in those books to complete the set. And yeah, um, so I ordered it originally through. Amazon, the first copy, but I'm not a huge fan of Amazon. But you know, like if they're transporting soft covers, sometimes like the soft covers can get a bit like, excuse my language, but a bit fucked up. Um, like the corners were already like that. Even though it was wrapped in plastic, it was just a little bit frayed, and the pages on the comic, the soft cover comic, like the front cover, was just a bit like dog eared a little bit. Like I like dogs, like some dogs, if they don't bite me. Um, but yeah, just some of the pages were fucked. Like I had to, yeah, they were just kind of already creased. Like you can see that crease, and I'm just like, like I kind of, I kind of like. I'm not going to say OCD, but I'm kind of a bit like I like my stuff to be in pretty good condition, mint condition or something, or not mint condition. I just don't like my books fucking up too much. You know what I mean? But the hardcovers are a lot more robust. So if you're ordering the hardcover, these are a lot cheaper through Amazon, like half price of the retail price. But I found actually, because I'm in Australia, the Australian website, which is local to me, called the Nile. So I felt bad, buying through Amazon because it's an international company. I'm Australian, and it's like, yeah, I felt, yeah, even though it's cheaper, I want to support the local stores. So um, now that I'm not really buying the comics, I thought, okay, I want to buy the next books, right, of Conan and Red Sonja. There's a Red Sonja book by her name is Dawn. Her first name is no, not Dawn. Um, Gale, yeah, and yeah, I can't remember the name of the book, but it's a recent book in the last couple of years of Red Sonja, and so I went to my local bookshop, Harry Hardhog, the bookshop is called, and I asked, could you order the next one called The Bloody Crown of Conan? And they said, no, we can't order that. It's out of print. I'm like, oh, okay. And it says, yeah, you might want to get that one through an online retailer, that one. So I thought, okay, the Nile will probably do that one for me. And okay, because that's at least Aussie. That's an Aussie store, even though it's not my local store. And that's where I'm at right now. And while I was at it, I also ordered. So they were able to order the Red Sonja book, even though they didn't have it in the store. That was good. I don't have to order that online. But I prefer to support the Nile because that's an Aussie owned, Australian owned store. So yeah, um, and also they have the ability. It says become an affiliate, a bit like Amazon. So if I might sign up to their affiliate thing, so I'll put the links in my video of the books that I talk about, and then if you're keen to check out the book, then click on the link, right? If I provide you a link, if I become an affiliate, and then a cut of the sale, so it won't change the price for you, but they'll give me a commission. The Nile will give me a commission for being affiliated with them, right? So I become affiliated with them, right? Because I'm providing the link to you, and my unique link actually they recognize that, and they say, oh, you pointed a new customer to us. We'll give you we'll give you some we'll give you a cut. So I might try that, because I want to talk more about books. I like reading books and collecting fiction books. But yeah, I might make this channel about fantasy books. People call it fiction, but that's a boring name. I like the name fantasy, and probably in sword and sorcery. Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff. So let's go with we could try just calling this channel like a fantasy fiction. Oh, a fantasy. Um, it's obviously fiction, but fantasy books and things like that. It could be comics, could be horror books. Let's start off with that. Okay. So Conan the Barbarian. All right. If you've made it this far, fuck yeah, Conan the Barbarian. Love you.